The following is a presentation of 912 Sports. Welcome to On Air with 912 Sports, your number one source for high school sports. With Sean Smoke, Kevin Price, and Robbie Ross. On Air with 912 Sports is brought to you by Coastal Pines Technical College. Go Coastal. Prime South Bank. Find your prime. Robbie Robertson Ford, because Fords are cheaper in the swamp. Gibson Animal Clinic, practical solutions with limited fees. Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, the region's best orthopedic care. And Kim Smoke, licensed realtor with eXp Realty.
High schoolers, did you know that you can get a head start on your college career and save money at the same time through dual enrollment at Coastal Pines Technical College? Dual enrollment is open to high school juniors and seniors, tuition free. Talk to your high school counselor or visit coastalpines.edu for more information. Coastal Pines Technical College, an equal opportunity institution. Go Coastal.
It makes sense Prime South Bank would have a great mobile app. Nobody is as mobile as our customers. For a century, they've chased dreams, followed their hearts, took the road less taken, made a new path, taken leaps of faith. At Prime South, offering the latest digital banking, secure pay apps, and new online lending is part of a mobile tradition that goes way back. Life is mobile. So is Prime South. Find your Prime. Member FDIC.
Play it loud and rev it up. Robbie Robinson's got trucks built for tough.
Make your way to Robbie Robertson Ford in Waycross, where the deals are bigger than ever. Looking for a stylish midsize car, a spacious SUV, or a truck that performs at work and play? Robbie Robertson wants your vehicle and is paying top dollar. Now is the time to buy. Fords are cheaper in the swamp.
Hey folks, welcome back to another edition of the Smoke Report. As always, my name is Evan Smoke, and I'm here to give you guys the updates on the scores from October 20th around the 912. Hey, what can I say? I improved to 2-0 in games of the week as Long County goes on the road to Hinesville and defeats the Liberty County Panthers 36-22 in Donnell Woods Stadium. Another huge game down there in Region 3 2A ball. Applin wins a huge region game on the road. Got to be a good team to win on the road now, as the Pirates go into Vidalia and defeat the Indians 33-6. Pierce defeats Windsor Forest 44-0 on a Thursday night football action over in Savannah. The Red Raiders fall at home as Bacon County loses to Pelham 43-21. Bradwell Institute gets a big region victory as they defeat Statesboro at home 28-25. Brantley bounces back, defeats Tatnall 31-3, another region win for the Herons. Brunswick rolls between the bricks at Glenn County Stadium as they defeat the South Effingham Mustangs 38-14. In a battle of the Wildcats, Camden loses a close region road game as they traveled over to Valdosta and lost 24-21. Clinch rolls once more as they defeat Atkinson County 42-7. Coffee blanks Jenkin 34-0 in the homecoming game there in Jardine Stadium. Coffee is undefeated in region play and looks for a great matchup here in a couple weeks with the Ware County Gators. We have another Thursday night matchup from last week. Bullock Academy defeats Frederica 35-21 there on the island in St. Simons. Glenn rallies to beat Evans from a halftime deficit On the road, 22-14. 49-13, Worth County Rams all over the Jeff Davis Yellow Jackets. We're going to move on past that. McIntosh County Academy loses on the road to a region opponent in Emmanuel County Institute, ECI, 35-7. New Hampstead gets a big win over Savannah area foe Islands, 54-13. Ware stays undefeated in region play. Like I mentioned earlier, them and Coffee are kind of in that crash course for that last week. Possible region championship game. Don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. But they get a big road win over Greenbrier up in Augusta, 64-20. Wayne falls at home to 4A state favorite, let's call it how it is, Benedictine, 38-21 over there in Jessup at JC Stadium. I'll see you guys a little bit later in the show for this week's Game of the Week.
At Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, you don't have to be an athlete to get the region's best orthopedic care. Our board-certified orthopedic surgeons and physicians treat injuries and conditions that affect just about any joint or bone in your body. Plus, we're backed by the support of Southeast Georgia Health System. From fracture repair to joint replacement, Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery will get you moving again. Call 1-855-ASK-SGHS. That's 1-855-275-7447 or visit sghs.org/summit.
Gibson Animal Clinic is ready to help with your animals. From cats to dogs to horses, we treat them all. Call on us for grooming, bathing, boarding, and more serious things like surgery, dentistry, spay, neuter, immunizations, heartworm prevention, flea control, complete lab testing, radiology, preventive health care. Call us at 285-7678. Open Saturdays for your convenience. Gibson Animal Clinic. Practical solutions with reasonable fees. Russell J. Gibson, DVM.
Gibson Animal Clinic, 108 Riverside Drive, Waycross.
Hablamos español en nuestra clínica.
Welcome, sports fans, and thanks for watching On Air with 912 Sports. I'm Sean Smoke, publisher of 912 Sports, joined as always by head writer and podcast host Kevin Price. Kevin, how you doing this evening?
Doing good, Sean. Good to be here talking high school football down to the final 2 weeks of the regular season. And before we came on camera, we were going over some of the possible playoff scenarios in some of these regions that we cover. And I think we had it down pretty good off camera. We'll see if we can get it right on camera when the pressure's on, so to speak.
Exactly. Well, I took my shoes off, Kevin, so if I need to count on my toes, I'm ready. So,
all right. But, hey, sometimes or not sometimes, as we know, some of these coaches are even confused about what their rules are on paper, and they're all going to the bylaws looking at what they voted on back in the spring meetings or the summer meetings or whatnot. So, hey, if we're confused, we're just part of the crowd.
Let's start it off, Kevin. And a game that looks really weird on paper. You've got Charlton County, who's 2-6 on the season. Oh, but by the way, they're 2-0 in the region. And then you got Clinch County, who's 8-1 on the season. Oh, but by the way, they're 3-0 in the region. So you got two undefeated region teams here going at it. Charlton was able to get Clinch last year, Kevin, to win that region. I think Clinch has got a little bit of revenge factor on their mind this year. Got to go over to Homerville. We all know that Don Tyson Field is a tough place to play. Just like Charlton County's swamp down there is. But Charlton's got to go to Clinch this year and see if they can get it done. But I tell you, after Friday night, if Charlton finds a way to win that game, people are going to be going, how's a 2-6 team winning this region? But that's exactly the position they'll find themselves in, Kevin.
Yeah, because all that really matters, in terms of playoffs and seeding is what you do in region games. And if they were to win this one, they would have won 3. But obviously, these are two, long-time, rivals going at it here in deep South Georgia. And, on paper, it looks like a mismatch. But, Charlton is winning in region play. Obviously, Clinch has been on a roll now for a little over a month. I think they've won 7 in a row. And, the last 4 or 5 have been by pretty good margins. And all 3 region games have been convincing wins. So they've got a chance to finish the season here real strong, win that region title with a victory over Charlton County. On paper, it looks like they would get it done, and then, see where they fall in the brackets and what the bracket looks like around them. I would expect that to happen, but Charlton is coming in with a little momentum. And, again, this is 2 teams that, have been going at it for a long time. But this looks like Clinch's game to win for sure.
Yeah, and like I said, we'll see what shakes out. But I mean, even if Charlton loses, Kevin, they're still in pretty good position to go into the playoffs. So we'll see how it all shakes out. But interesting one there in Homerville on Friday night. Apple's got to travel over to Tatnall. Apple coming off the big win over Vidalia last week keeps that three-way tie ahead in that or alive in that Region 3-2A. We'll see how things shake out there. Bacon's got to travel over to Brooks. Bacon's been able to win a couple games, Kevin, here the last couple of weeks. Had an off week thrown in there, but we'll see if they can go over there and steal the hammer from from our good buddy over there, Brooks County. Not sure that they're going to be able to get that hammer out of Maurice's hand, but we'll see if Bacon can get it done. And then the next game, Kevin, we want to talk about one of those playoff type scenarios that is almost a playoff game to get in the playoffs, and that is Bradwell at Jenkins. Bradwell last week, congratulations, got a big win over Statesboro, trailed in that game, come back late, Kevin, won that game 28-25. And I want to give a shout out to Charlie Moon, Kevin, because before the season, he said, mark it down, Bradwell is going to make the playoffs. And it looks like with that win over Statesboro, Bradwell has made the playoffs, but they're trying, Kevin, to solidify the 3 seed. Them, Jenkins, and Statesboro are all sitting there with 2 losses. A lot of football still to be played, but we'll see if Bradwell can get it done Friday night. If they go on the road, they'll solidify that number 3 seed in the region there with Coffee and we're going to be playing for 1 and 2.
Well, first of all, I'm glad Charlie Moon might actually get something right. Let's write that down, okay?
Exactly.
But no, obviously, Bradwell kind of reminds me. I don't know if this is the best comparison, Sean, but it's the best I could come up with, kind of right here off the top of my head. But Bradwell kind of reminds me a little bit like Vanderbilt in the SEC. They can kind of battle you for a little while, and then eventually they don't have enough bullets in the gun or enough depth, and then the bigger, stronger team with more depth and talent kind of wears them out and wins in the end. But here, obviously on paper, is more of a matchup where it looks like they might be the big dog in the fight, and I'm going to go with Bradwell to win this one because of the way they have played. Looking at the whole picture of the way things have turned out this season. They did beat a good McIntosh County Academy team that's maybe kind of, slumped down here down the stretch. But I like Bradwell on paper and kind of, a turnaround season, if you will, for them. But you're right. Obviously, if Bradwell, just looking at it from their perspective, the team in our 912 coverage area here, if they can win this one, they would be in that 3 seed or on that 3 line out of this region behind, Coffee and Ware, depending on who wins that big matchup next week between those 2 teams. Bradwell would then be 3rd if they can win this one, and that would make next week's game between Jenkins and Statesboro basically elimination game, a winner-take-all game for the 4 seed out of this region. So I'll see if I get it right like Charlie Moon and say that Bradwell is going to be in the playoffs and they're going to win this game and go in as the 3rd seed.
Yep, I like those odds, Kevin. So, but hey, next game up to Brantley County's open this week. Brantley coming off that big win, went over to Tatnall and got it done. So congratulations there to the Herons, getting another win there. And then the next game that we do want to talk about, Kevin, is Evans at Brunswick. Evans is one of those Jekyll and Hyde teams here, Kevin. Glenn County went up there last Friday night, thought they were going to breeze into town and went into the locker room trailing these guys. But credit to Rocky Hidalgo and his Red Terrors. They got off the mat, came away winners in that game. I believe the final was 22-14. So they do get a win. Brunswick cruised over South Effingham. Brunswick still trying to create that 3-way tie with that last game of the season of Effingham. But Evans, I don't think it's going to be a pushover, even though you do get this game between the bricks, which you'll be on the call for Friday night.
Yeah, well, looking at this region 2 6A, it's sort of shaped up a little bit, kind of like we thought it would, even though we're not going to know till the final results, I think, next week, and adding up some point totals probably to see how 1, 2, and 3 shake out between, Glenn, Brunswick, and Effingham. But we thought all along that those would be the top 3 seeds, and it looks like they are going to be in some kind of order. But Evans was a playoff team out of this league last year as the number 4 team. They've got a chance to be in that slot again. South Effingham still has something to say about that. Those 2 teams, Evans and South Effingham, will meet next week. And if Brunswick were to hold serve here and win this game, if Evans doesn't pull the upset, just like next week between Bradwell and Jenkins, in that 5A region. This one could be for number 4 in this 2-6A region. And that's what I'm looking for to happen. Brunswick is playing good football. Maybe not the most inspired effort the other night against South Effingham. Took them a little while to take control of that game, but from the midway of the second quarter on, they took charge and won that ball game going away. And, are looking at, of course, holding serve, like I said, and getting to that matchup next week against Effingham with a chance to, possibly be the number 1 seed and win a region championship again, or fall to the 2 or 3 hole, depending on how things shake up. But the main thing for Brunswick in this ball game is to stop the Evans running back, Rayshawn King. He's averaging over a little 100 yards a game. They're going to put the ball in his hands and, see if he can, break off some long runs and possibly play ball control behind a good offensive line. And then Brunswick has had a good balance between the run and the pass, and I would expect that to keep going. Brunswick made a quarterback change last week. Sean went with Grant Moore, who had been the backup playing in certain packages. He got to start, went the whole way. We'll see what the Pirates do come Friday night in that regard.
Right, and another Pirate there is playing good ball. Terry T.J. Mitchell, he's making some amazing catches over there.
He's worth the price of admission, Sean. I mean, like Coach Rock has told us before, you can't tackle that guy in a phone booth. I mean, he seems to squirm out of there. The other night, he had an electrifying punt return where, he darted one way toward the visiting sideline and then came back, reversed his field. And he had a questionable, we'll call it like that, blindside block, I think it was. Saw the film again today, and I would not have thrown that flag, I don't think. But, hey, it got thrown. I'm not so sure he needed that, infraction anyway to break on free and come around that corner as he was reversing field. But anyway, he's electrifying, man. You think you got him sewn up and locked in, and next thing you know, he's squirming away, scooting away from 2 or 3 guys, and he's got speed to burn. But and like Coach Grady told me on his podcast today, in that game last week, he made an over-the-shoulder catch over tight defense to start that ball game. It was a 61-yard pass completion between Grant Moore and him. And I don't know if this was necessarily the best case, but sometimes, he's a little guy under 6 foot. Sometimes he plays like he's 6'4". I mean, he goes up and gets the ball and snatches it out of the air. So for a little guy, he's got a lot of big playability, and it's exciting to see him play. He's worth that price of admission, even though some people might think it's a little bit high between the bricks.
Yeah, good game coming up there Friday night. Camden's going to be off this week, Kevin, coming off that tough loss to Valdosta, only losing by 3 points. Camden now kind of behind the 8 ball there with playoffs. That game next week with Lowndes is going to be huge. Greenbrier's going to come down to Coffee. This is a tune-up game for Coffee. All they're going to do is, try to get ready for one more week until they get to that big Ware County game next week. So we'll see how that one shakes out. I look for Coffee to win by a big score there. Lakeside Evans is going to go to Effingham. Effingham's trying to do the same thing Brunswick is, Kevin, trying to keep that winning streak alive, get to that last game of the season with Brunswick and try to win a region title. Pinewood Christian Academy is going to go over to Frederica. Frederica coming off another tough loss there. Bullock Academy, gave them the business pretty much this past week. So we'll see if Frederica can get back on the winning side of things. And then the last game we're going to talk about in this segment, Kevin, is Burke at New Hampstead. This is another one of those regions, Kevin, where there's all kind of scenarios that can play out. The one thing we know is Benedictine's going to be one. I mean, Benedictine is one that the cadets are going to go in as one, but we have no idea who's going to be 2. We have no idea who's going to be 2 or 3 or 4. But what you've got is you got Burke County with 1 loss, New Hampstead with 2, Southeast Bullock with 2, and Wayne County with 2. All these guys with 2 losses. And if New Hampstead can find a way on Friday night to beat Burke County, that's going to leave Burke County with 2 losses. So you're going to have a scenario here that we'll not know until the last game is played at the end of the season here to what these guys are going to fill out from 2 through 3. But listen, New Hampstead's played really, really well this year. They got another win this past week, scored another 50 points. I think they scored 54 points. So they can spin the ball over the field. But listen, Franklin Stevens has got Burke County playing really, really well. They've only got that 1 loss on the season. So we'll see who can get this one done on Friday night. But Burke County does have to travel over to Savannah to play the Phoenix at their place.
Yeah, I like to refer to everybody in this region as the cadet chasers. And obviously, the cadets are going to finish on top of the region. Again, their last hurdle to overcome was this past Friday night. The Wayne County Yellow Jackets at JC Stadium there in Jessup. They did that. So they're going to win the region. And now they've got bigger fish to fry. They've got their sights set on the Class 4A championship, and they've got a really good chance of doing that again. Now, all these teams in this region, Sean, we've mentioned it before, but in case somebody's watching the show for the first time, line them up however you want to, 2, 3, 4, after Benedictine. And all these teams, I'm not really sure what the playoff road would be for them as 2, 3, and 4 seeds when you look at each quadrant of the bracket. But the 4 seed in this region is going to have a chance to possibly knock off a 1 unless it's a really, really good 1 seed. And certainly the 2 and 3s, I think, have a good chance of maybe winning a game or 2. So the 3 seed, even though they're going on the road, is going to be a strong 3 seed. But, when you look at this matchup, it's probably that Burke County defense against that New Hampstead offense. That's sort of the marquee matchup, the headline matchup in this game. I'm going to probably side with the defense because I think they can at least slow down New Hampstead. But then, if they can't, I think Burke does have enough offense to win the ball game. But obviously, I don't think Burke, like a lot of teams, doesn't want to get in a shootout with New Hampstead. They want to keep this game in the 20 somewhere if they can. But obviously, a heck of a ball game here between these two teams. And like you say, if New Hampstead was to win it, that could throw things into all sorts of chaos, and they might want to get their region bylaws set and ready to see what kind of tiebreaker system they do have in place as well.
Yeah, because it could end up being a bunch of tied scenarios there. But listen, New Hampstead's got that offense rolling. Their quarterback's playing really, really well. They got a couple of receivers that can go get it. Got a couple of big linemen. So listen, it won't surprise me if New Hampstead finds a way to win this game. But like you, Kevin, if I had to put money on the line, I believe I would bet Burke right now. But New Hampstead may surprise us both there and get that win and kind of throw things into a chaotic state there going into that last week of the season. But hey, we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back and finish up with the games scheduled for 10/27. But you're watching On Air with 912 Sports.
High schoolers, did you know that you can get a head start on your college career and save money at the same time through dual enrollment at Coastal Pines Technical College? Dual enrollment is open to high school juniors and seniors, tuition free. Talk to your high school counselor or visit coastalpines.edu for more information. Coastal Pines Technical College, an equal opportunity institution. Go Coastal.
Welcome back, sports fans, and thanks for watching On Air with 912 Sports. I'm Sean Smoke. He's Kevin Price, and we're going to finish up the game scheduled for 10/27. We're going to start off here. We got Glenn Academy. Kevin got a big win over Evans this past Friday night. They're open going into that last game of the season. Jeff Davis, the same thing. Jeff Davis, not so lucky, though. They're not coming off a win. They're coming off a loss there to Worth County, but they are open. Liberty goes to Beach. I think this is an opportunity for Liberty to get a win. They lost that big competition, big game last week to Long County, so pretty much kind of eliminated them from the playoffs, but I think Liberty goes and gets the win this Friday night. We've got Calvary Day's got to travel over to Long. Long won that game over to Liberty 36-22, but I don't think they're going to be so lucky Friday night, Kevin. I think Calvary Day is one of the best teams there in 3A, and I look for those guys to roll. Portal's going to be at MCA, and Kevin, what was once a very, very promising season for MCA, not ending very, very well for Bradley Warren and his Buccaneers down there. We'll see if they can get a win there on Friday night, but I don't think they're really going to have the season that they once thought they would have. And then the next game that we're going to talk about, Kevin, is Vidalia at Pierce. Vidalia went in last week, Kevin, tied with everybody. Let me back up. Vidalia went into the region last week in the lead of everybody because everybody in that region had a loss other than Vidalia. They were sitting there at 3-0, but the Appleton County Pirates took care of that for them, beating them. I think it was 33-6. And now, by the way, you get a reward. You get to go to Bearville and play the Pierce County Bears, who are just rolling. They had a big night over at Windsor Forest on that Thursday night game. 44-0. Had a chance to talk to Coach Ryan Herring today on his podcast. You can check that out at 912sports.net. And Kevin, they had linemen coming in at the end of the game running some of that Big Bear packages. So Coach thinks he's going to have a couple of Christmas cards coming this year from the parents of the linemen getting the chance to score in that Big Bear package. But like I said, Pierce has really got it going right now. Vidalia, they had a tough time last week. They're going to have another tough time Friday night.
Well, first of all, Sean, I don't know when their meeting will be after the regular season games next Friday night, but go ahead and, if you will, start working on a possible press pass to that, or see if we can get invited.
Well, let's just live stream it.
Hey, yeah, I was going to say we don't really need the cameras to be rolling. We don't necessarily have the tape recorders rolling. I just kind of like to be a fly on the wall and listen to this one. Of course, what's already on paper is on paper, and I don't know how much they'll discuss what's on paper and who disagrees with it and agrees with it right now. But that could be a meeting for a future date. But from what I do understand, according to my inside sources, which includes you, they do know where the region bylaws are, and somebody at least has tried to interpret these things and knows what they say. Now, whether or not everybody agrees with the rules that are on paper is sort of up for debate.
Exactly.
and may be more interesting than a Republican debate coming forward. And so anyway, we'll talk about that in the future. But this is a region that looks like they're going to have to break some sort of ties between some teams, and we'll just see who's all involved in these ties. But right now, Sean, it looks like all 4 playoff teams in this league are sitting there with 1 region loss apiece after Vidalia lost that game last week. So, of course, one thing we think that has to happen is teams have to beat, after head-to-head, have to beat teams by 13 points. So, obviously, that's going to be on the minds of these coaches this week for Vidalia and Pierce. For my milk money, I'm going to set it aside and say it's Pierce that wins the ball game by double digits and more than 13. And then, of course, that would give Vidalia 2 losses. They would fall out of that tie, but there would still be 3 teams tied for first. And I think those 3 teams will stay tied for first at the end of next week.
Right. Well, I had a discussion today, Kevin, one of the coaches, and basically, when these games get over Friday night a week from now, and let's say everybody's sitting there with 1 loss, the 3 teams that we think are going to have 1 loss, how soon do they have to make a decision? Because this stuff has to be turned into GHSA probably sometime Saturday, if not sometime Friday night. So if there's a hat draw involved, what are we going to do? Are we going to meet at some central location Friday night at 1 a.m. or Saturday morning at 1 a.m. and draw something out of a hat? Is it we're going to do it by Zoom? But it's going to happen pretty fast because, like I said, GHSA's got to set stuff. They got to get referees. This is not something that can go in a Tuesday or Wednesday of the following week, Kevin. It's got to be done that weekend after the season's complete, don't you think?
I would think so, Sean. I don't know if anybody plays any of those mini games anymore. There used to be a time when those mini games would break ties, and you would usually play those on the Monday after the playoffs are over. So, that took a little bit of time, obviously. I do know this. Usually the way tradition has been, people want to see these playoff brackets. They want to get them out. The GHSA is going to fill out what they can come the end of next Friday night. They'll probably start penciling things in next week to already be ahead of the game. And then, of course, as results go, they'll know from talking to the regions, what might happen, and they'll follow that to, start filling out brackets based on any results that determine things next Friday night. But sometimes on these, Friday night high school football scoreboard shows, they're starting to break down the brackets and talk about brackets, right. Friday night. That's the world we live in. And there's going to be some holes. We'll wake up, a week from this Saturday with some holes still out there, and that might be the case here. I would think the folks in this region are probably going to be having to, line things up and play some what-if scenarios during the week next week. And then if they do have that hat draw, they're probably going to have the meeting lined up. And I'm not so sure that it'll be Friday night, but it might be as early as 7 or 8 a.m. next Saturday. And that's really just out of fairness to the other region that they would be playing too, because it's not just for 1 and 2, Sean. That hat draw, if they have to go to it, is going to determine 1, 2, and 3. So you're going to have 3 teams against in the other region that they would be playing in the first round, waiting to break down film and all that kind of stuff. You know how these coaches are. Some of them's going to be up in that other league they're playing, before the sun comes up Saturday morning, breaking down film on that first round playoff game. So they're not going to want to wait any longer than they have to, nor should they have to. So I'm sure that a plan will be in place to get that done as quickly as possible.
Yeah, so we'll see how all that shakes out. But next game up, Kevin, Lowndes at Richmond Hill. This is a very interesting game here. This is really a must-win for both of these guys. I think a loss eliminates you from the playoffs altogether. And even with a win, I'm not so sure that you still get in. So we'll see how it shakes out. But Richmond Hill gets this game at home. Lowndes has got to travel over there to Richmond Hill. So we'll see if Matt Lazada and the Wildcats can find a way to beat the Vikings.
Well, you pretty much have to have one win in this region to have a chance at the playoffs. And right now, it looks like Colquitt and Valdosta, sitting undefeated, are going to play for 1 and 2. Camden, could be 3, could be 4, depending on how they do in their last game versus Lowndes, which they're off this week and will take on Lowndes next week. Like you said, both of these teams sitting there 0 and 2 in the region with 2 games to go. Lowndes still has Richmond Hill and Camden. Richmond Hill still has this one against Lowndes and Colquitt. Lowndes could possibly beat Camden next week, and that would be their win. But Richmond Hill might want to get this one against the Vikings because their one remaining game is against the Colquitt County Packers, who should probably win the region, and that would be a tall order for them to beat Colquitt in that last game. There is a possibility, Sean, that it could work out where Camden, Lowndes, and Richmond Hill all end up with 1 win, and then they all would have beaten each other. But I would say for Richmond Hill, for sure, this is an elimination game. I wouldn't want to have to go into that last game against Colquitt, the last game of the season, looking to win that one just to punch my ticket to the playoffs. Out of the 2 games they have left, this is their best opportunity for a win, particularly that this one is at home.
We'll see if Richmond Hill can get it done. Grovetown going to travel down to South Effingham, see which one of those guys can come out on the end of the or get a win there. And then we've got Statesboro and Ware County. This is an interesting game from Statesboro's standpoint because they're sitting there with Bradwell and Jenkins with 2 losses. Don't think they're going to get a win against Ware County. I mean, stranger things have happened, but I feel like Ware County probably holds serve here, put Statesboro kind of behind the 8 ball with 3 losses. And then that, like you said, that last game of the season between Jenkins and Statesboro will probably be for, a playoff berth or a short 10-game season.
Yeah, this is one of those games where Statesboro has nothing to lose but a football game. Ware County, obviously, needs to stay on course for that matchup against Coffee there next week, and I'm sure that's what's going to happen. These are 2 teams with a much different season at this point. Statesboro still kind of finding their way under a new coaching staff, and just really don't have the offensive firepower, I don't think, to stay with a team like Ware or to really even come close to pulling off the upset. So as long as Ware shows up ready to go and gets lathered up pretty quickly, they'll win this ball game going away.
And the last game we're going to talk about, Kevin, Southeast Bullock and Wayne County. We discussed it a little bit earlier when we were talking about the Burke-New Hampstead game, but this game is going to be really, really important for both of these guys. They're both sitting there with 2 losses. Wayne County played valiantly last week against Benedictine, just couldn't get it done. I think that game, Kevin, was tied at one point. Might have even been tied at halftime, but Benedictine kind of pulled away there toward the end. We'll see if they can get it done. This game is at JC Stadium there in Jessup, so Wayne does have that going for them. But if they can get this one, they can pretty much guarantee themselves a playoff spot.
Yeah, and I guess the thing about this one, Sean, the good news is it is at home. So that is in Wayne's favor. That's always tough to play them in Jessup, certainly when they're having a good season once again. And, I guess the big thing for them is can they bounce back, from that emotional loss. I know they probably put a lot of time and effort into preparing for that ball game, trying to knock off BC and get a statement win and, all that kind of good stuff. So now they've got to move on just like, Burke did, just like New Hampstead did after they played the Cadets, and should be a game right here that Wayne should win and should probably win convincingly. But I think this is all about Wayne's mindset and Wayne's focus going into this ball game. But if they get Fuller ready to go in that backfield, they should pretty much run away with this one. But I do think this is all about Wayne's mindset and how they come out ready to play.
A lot of football in front of the Wayne County Yellow Jackets, and it starts Friday night by getting this win against Southeast Bullock. But that's going to wrap up all the games for 10/27. Appreciate you watching On Air with 912 Sports. Stick around. We got more to come. But thanks for watching On Air with 912 Sports.
At Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, you don't have to be an athlete to get the region's best orthopedic care. Our board-certified orthopedic surgeons and physicians treat injuries and conditions that affect just about any joint or bone in your body. Plus, we're backed by the support of Southeast Georgia Health System. From fracture repair to joint replacement, Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery will get you moving again. Call 1-855-ASK-SGHS. That's 1-855-275-7447 or visit sghs.org/summit.
It makes sense Prime South Bank would have a great mobile app. Nobody is as mobile as our customers. For a century, they've chased dreams, followed their hearts, took the road less taken, made a new path, taken leaps of faith. At Prime South, offering the latest digital banking, secure pay apps, and new online lending is part of a mobile tradition that goes way back. Life is mobile. So is Prime South. Find your Prime. Member FDIC.
Hey folks, I'm back for this week's Game of the Week. Like I said earlier, if you weren't here at that part of the show, I am 2-0 so far after Long's defeat of Liberty County last week on the road in Hinesville. This week we're going to go a little small. We're going to go down to Homerville as Charlton County makes the trip over to play the Panthers. This is a great matchup to say the least. Now, Charlton County had a rough non-region schedule, but has bounced back to an undefeated region record at this point in the season. Clinch County is 8-1 and looks dominant there in their classification. As we move forward, Charlton won this game last year in lieu of their first region title in years. I think I'm going to have to go with the Panthers though this weekend. Panthers bounce back, get a win over Charlton after last year's defeat there in their home stadium in Homerville. I think this game might not even be close. I'm going to take the Clinch County Panthers by double digits over the Charlton County Indians. Hey folks, if you agree with me, please let me know in the email below me. If you disagree with me, hey, I'm fine either way. I want all the smoke. I need you guys to let me know in the email below me. What are your thoughts so far about my picks and this week's pick coming up? Once again, I'm going to take the Clinch County Panthers to win by double digits. Big win there in Homerville over the Charlton County Indians. In advancement probably to a region title. Let's not call it before it can happen, but I think this is going to be a huge moment for the Clinch County Panthers in that program with Coach Don Tyson. I'm going to take the Panthers to win big.
Play it loud and rev it up. Robbie Robertson's got trucks built for tough.
Make your way to Robbie Robertson Ford in Waycross, where the deals are bigger than ever. Looking for a stylish midsize car, a spacious SUV, or a truck that performs at work and play? Robbie Robertson wants your vehicle and is paying top dollar. Now is the time to buy. Fords are cheaper in the swamp.
Gibson Animal Clinic is ready to help with your animals. From cats to dogs to horses, we treat them all. Calling us for grooming, bathing, boarding, and more serious things like surgery, dentistry, spay, neuter, immunizations, heartworm prevention, flea control, complete lab testing, radiology, preventive health care. Call us at 285-7678. Open Saturdays for your convenience. Gibson Animal Clinic. Practical solutions with reasonable fees. Russell J. Gibson, DVM.
Gibson Animal Clinic, 108 Riverside Drive, Waycross.
Hablamos español en nuestra clínica.
This has been a presentation of 912 Sports.